North is different from the south. So when the children heard those rockets, the war has begun. The children witnessed blood, dismembered bodies, and so on. Golan Heights is a troubled place. So there is non-stop shelling of the borders. Who were these people? I just put it away, but I got it back out. The children were simply thrown into a car. Do they themselves want to return? What are they telling you? What do you think? What happened there? I can't really say the actual word that really describes it accurately, but it was nothing short of carnage. Children, Hezbollah's target, pediatrician Igor Gutnik. After Hamas attacked Israel on October 7, 2023, it was supported by Hezbollah. Already the next day, rockets and artillery shells began flying from Lebanon. Hezbollah entered the war with massive bombardments from Israel's north. The main victims of Hezbollah became Israeli children who had to flee their homes or live under the constant threat of death. Tragically, some children were killed by the rockets. More than a year has passed. Were there a lot of children brought to you during the first days, the first month? Not a lot, less than 10. What are the ages are we talking about approximately? Most of the time, there were elementary school kids and teens, but mostly elementary. We're talking about 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, 10. Were the children traumatized? How would you diagnose them when they came to see you? Children with anxiety, with your entire spectrum of anxiety, starting with deteriorating separation anxiety and all the way up to PTSD. PTSD is directly related to their experience hearing rockets. The war has begun. It's not just that they heard the rockets. PTSD, by definition, is an event or experience an adult or child lives through, which represents immediate danger to their lives, or their closest relatives experienced this event. And the children were there to see it. Did the children give you their accounts? Accounts, like when the first shelling began, some of their own recollections, impressions. The North is not the South. The North is completely different. What is the main difference? Among other things, there are large Druze communities in the North. They practically have no psychiatric or psychological help. And there were a few cases in these Druze communities when the level of trauma, the magnitude of it, how profoundly the people were traumatized, were comparable to the victim experiences in the South. And what I described the first time around, when the children witnessed blood, dismembered bodies, and so on, the situation was similar in the North. Therefore, I'm going to let you hold something, and you tell me what your thoughts are. Because I want to interview you just like you want to interview me. And so you understand what I'm talking about. I'm going to let you hold this in your hands. Let the camera take a good look at it. Hold it, feel it. I can, of course, assume what it is. This is 12. This is the shard. This is the shard from the rocket that killed 12 Druze children. You mean the Hezbollah rocket that hit the stadium? Yes. This is the rocket. Yes, I'm going to show it. So a shard of this rocket killed 12 of our children. Yes, Druze children are our children. They are our children. These shards tore people to pieces. Some children had to be ID'd by DNA. What happened, there was, I can't say the word on YouTube, but it was sheer carnage. This is the funeral of the 12 Druze children. On June 27, a Hezbollah rocket hit the stadium in the Druze community. 12 children died where they stood. When the war began, my friends from the north called me. They told me there was trouble. They told me that there was a shortage of psychological and psychiatric help on the Golan Heights. There is a small mirpa in the middle of the Golan, and Tzfat is right there as well. To help people understand, it takes an hour drive from the south to the north of the Golan Heights. So we opened a mirpa, a clinic. It's called Perech. They called me and said, Dr. Gutnik, would you want to go there? It takes me more than 2 hours to drive there. Clearly, my wife was not thrilled by the idea. Beginning in the spring of last year, even earlier than that, I've been going there every month under Hezbollah rocket fire, hearing the bangs of Lebanese strikes, I drive there because help is needed. Children need help. Teachers and psychologists have to be coached on how and what to do. How did I just put it away and picked it back up? How did the shard come into your possession? When this happened, and emergency services arrived, one of the first responders found this shard. It was lodged in his house. And when we realized that there was such evidence, I'm going to reiterate that I hold myself responsible for what I'm saying. This really is a shard from the attack site. I'm just not going to name any names. This is not the forum for it. And since I understood that I would have to explain to people at some point what this war really is, when children are torn apart with these rockets and shards, I figured that it's 35 times more convincing. I figured it's much more effective when I let people hold this in their hands, because when I first held this shard in my hands, I still shake at the thought. I keep it nicely wrapped, and I just took it out just now. So I know what ash feels like, filling my heart. And when you drive past that plaza with the children's court in plain sight, you see that stadium when you realize that there was a group of people and it was struck by a rocket, meaning everyone who was present at the square and made it running there. They all now meet the criteria, risk factors of developing PTSD. Because, yes, indeed, there is trauma brought on by explosions nearby. Children are running scared. Their mom is screaming and crying. So they can develop, let's call it a traumatic experience. That's just when they merely heard explosions, lived through fear of that, and so on. However, this attack is on a different level. Different level. The number of children who develop PTSD after a rocket strikes a crowd is much higher. than that of kids who only heard the sound of explosions. You said you opened a clinic on the Golan Heights. When did this happen? Around the beginning of spring of this year. So you made a decision to open a clinic to be able, on the ground, help children who remained in the area, right? Yes. So here you're working with the children who were evacuated and are staying at hotels practically in the middle of the country, and over there you work with children who stayed behind and were not evacuated. Yes, so a question arises first, why the children that stayed in the north were not evacuated? You know anything about that? Because this is Israel. Because the place where I am seeing them, not sure if we spoke about that or not, but the time it takes between the siren noise, I mean when you hear the siren until actual hit, is 0 seconds. This means that if we hear the siren, we're not going to be able to make it to the shelter in time. So all we have left to do is to drop on the ground, cover our heads and pray. Not everyone was relocated. Quite a few remained in their homes. I saw more PTSD signs among the people who were evacuated. I saw more behavioral disorders, anxiety, cognition problems, ADHD and the like, among people who relocated here, people who moved here. Why? You would think that since those children are there, they constantly live through those sirens, you would think that they're subject to more stress. So why does it manifest itself more in people who are here now? Well, the Golan Heights, especially the southern Golans, people from the south have to drive an hour to see me. In the north, I see fewer children like that over there. Because generally, when explosions begin, and mind you, those explosions are not preceded by sirens. Let me tell you about this one occasion. I am relaxing one evening, minding my own business, playing with my phone. It's quiet, therapeutic, everything's great. All of a sudden, boom. But not just boom, like what we're used to, the Iron Dome. It's not that kind of boom when our tanks are shooting at Lebanon. I hear that boom and said to myself, for the first and hopefully last time in my life, if I hear an explosion and I'm still alive, well, I'm still alive then. And I can keep playing with my phone. What kind of explosion was that after all? That was Iraq saying hello, which was a drone near where I was. It didn't blow the windows out or anything, but it was such an explosion that for the first time in my life I said I can hear it, so I'm alive. So not today. In 1 year of war, Lebanon launched 14,000 rockets at Israel. Nearly 100,000 people were evacuated from the north of Israel. I want to say and emphasize some words about children whose parents decided not to return to the north, meaning people who were evacuated. And lately I have been seeing more and more children. When parents refuse to return, refuse to return to the north. It is something that deeply troubles me, not because of my therapy methods, and not because of what I do for those children, but because of the future of this country. When people seek refuge and refuse to return to their homes, meaning they abandoned their apartments, they're looking for employment here. They integrate their children because they waited and waited and waited and waited. I began noticing it mostly around August, September of this year, when everyone kept waiting and waiting. They bounced around from hotel to hotel for a year. Coaching was tried, some other things, and then a new school year rolls in. Hold on, I'm trying to follow your thought. On one hand, it makes sense that the people don't want to return. It's not safe there. Nowhere around here has been safe lately, but there they have regular bombardments that I understand. Why is that bad? What exactly do you mean? Because these kids who were ripped out of their surroundings, from their school, from their regular environment, even if we're talking about a child's psychological adaptability to the disasters they have experienced, the objective challenges these refugees dealt with in their living conditions, forced to live in small hotels. I mean, 1.5 rooms per family was covered. They were forced to eat at hotel restaurants. It was not sustainable. And this increases the probability that these kids will require help for a long time to come. So if they're already developing something because they lost a solid home, these children will struggle to return to their previous normal life. When I talk to these kids who came here, to their families, who found jobs, apartments, leaving their old apartments, and one little kid tells me that they were back to their apartment to pick up some toys. And the mom saw people standing on the opposite side of the border. Who were these people? On the Lebanese side? Lebanon. Perhaps she didn't really see anyone. Perhaps her perception was that they were being watched. And that scared her so much that kids were tossed into the car and got on their way real quick. And what are the chances they will ever return? What do the children you talk to say? Do they want to return? What do they tell you? Or are they scared? Well, this particular family where mom got out of their home in a hurry after coming back to pick up a few things, I'm scared. I'm scared. My mom is scared. She's sitting there shaking in fear. My kid is shaking in fear. I'm scared. They don't want to come back. That's what I find sad. Tell me, do you personally have any family members who lived through any of these events in the north or the south? My granddaughter lives in Krayot. That's in the north. She's 5 years old. And she's scared to leave the mamad, the house bomb shelter. She sleeps there. Krayot is where the north of Haifa. Not right by Lebanon. To clarify, a little south of Nahariya, a little south, and that's where sirens never stop. They're blaring non-stop. When this entire business with Hezbollah began, my wife has a community app on her phone. She wakes up when the app alarm is screaming. So we live in Netanya, so I want to emphasize, our grandkid has to start school next year. The child refuses to go out to walk. Because what would happen if the rocket hits? What if it falls and we're right there? And all anxiety symptoms related to trauma are there. I deliberately decided not to treat her because I said, go see another psychologist, consult, decide what to do, because last thing I need is to diagnose my granddaughter with PTSD. That's just what I need. But they don't go to the middle of the country because they're afraid. Are they scared to actually go on highway because the highway might get struck? Yes, the road goes through where people perished. I imagine more people die in car accidents, but many people died there from rocket strikes while driving. That's just your private experience. How many more children like that are there in the north that we don't know about? It's without hope, having nothing to hope for. Life is impossible. Children, Hezbollah's target.